The rain hammered the stained glass windows of the little chapel in Greenwich Village like God's own judgment. But inside, Brooke Harlan felt nothing but fire. She'd said, "I do," just minutes ago. Her voice barely a whisper against the thunder. Binding herself to Evelyn Voss, a woman whose fortune could buy half of Manhattan and whose age etched lines of wisdom and wear into skin like fine leather. At 25, Brooke was a waitress slinging hash browns at a greasy spoon off Bleecker Street. Her dreams of art school buried under tip jars and eviction notices. Evelyn, 80 and widowed twice over, was the kind of legend who summered in the Hamptons and wintered in Paris. Her tech empire built on algorithms that predicted human folly before it happened. Their eyes had locked over a spilled latte at a corner cafe 3 weeks prior. And in that gaze, Brooke saw salvation, not just from her crumbling life, but from the hollow ache of loving women in a world that pretended they didn't exist. Now, as the officiant pronounced them wives, Evelyn's cool fingers slipped a platinum band onto Brooke's, and the older woman's lips brushed her ear with a promise. "You're my forever, darling." No more running, but forever cracked open that very night. In the marble-floored expanse of Evelyn's Upper West Side penthouse, where crystal chandeliers dripped light like melting diamonds, Brooke stood in the walk-in closet, a cavern of couture that smelled of lavender and old money, fingering the lace hem of a negligee Evelyn had laid out for her, heart pounding with a mix of terror and thrill. Marriage, to her, the woman who'd whispered sonnets in her ear on their first date, who'd traced the scars on Brooke's knuckles from too many shifts gripping hot plates, who'd made her believe that love could be a shelter, not a storm. Brooke's phone buzzed on the vanity, a text from her sister back in Ohio. "You're insane. She's old enough to be your grandma. What the hell are you doing?" She deleted it, but the doubt slithered in like fog off the river. Evelyn found her there, silhouetted against the city lights, and pulled her into an embrace that smelled of Chanel No. 5 and something earthier, like rain-soaked gardenias. "Second thoughts," Evelyn murmured, her voice a velvet rumble honed by boardrooms and broken hearts. Brooke shook her head, burying her face in the crook of Evelyn's neck, where silver hair tickled her cheek. They tumbled onto the king-sized bed in a tangle of limbs and laughter. Evelyn's hands, surprisingly strong, veined like maps of forgotten rivers, guiding Brooke with the patience of someone who'd waited decades for this. It wasn't frantic like Brooke's fumbling college flings. It was deliberate, a slow unraveling. Evelyn kissed the freckles across Brooke's collarbone, calling them constellations, and Brooke arched into her, whispering confessions she'd never voiced aloud, the crushes on high school teachers, the shame of her evangelical upbringing, the way she'd always felt like a ghost in her own skin. Evelyn listened, her blue eyes sharp as cut glass, holding Brooke's without flinching. "I've hidden too long," Evelyn said, her breath warm against Brooke's thigh. "But with you, I'm seen." Dawn crept in like a thief, painting the sheets gold, and Brooke woke to the sound of Evelyn humming in the kitchen, a tune from some Broadway show she'd produced in the 70s. Coffee brewed, strong and black, and Evelyn served it with a smile that crinkled the corners of her mouth. "To us," she toasted, clinking mugs. Brooke grinned, her body still humming from the night. But as she sipped, her eyes caught on a framed photo on the mantel. Evelyn, younger, maybe 60, arm in arm with a woman who looked like her shadow-dark hair. Fierce gaze. "Who's that?" Brooke asked, casual as she could manage. Evelyn's smile faltered. "Just a flicker. An old friend." "Long gone." The words hung heavy, but Brooke let it slide, chalking it up to ghosts in every closet. The week blurred into a honeymoon haze. Evelyn whisked Brooke to a private jet for a spontaneous getaway to the Berkshires, where they hiked leaf-strewn trails hand in hand, Evelyn's cane tapping a rhythm against the earth. At night, in a cabin that smelled of pine and privilege, they'd make love by the fire. Evelyn's stories weaving around them like smoke, tales of bootstrapping her first startup in a garment district loft, of coming out in the 60s when lesbian was a slur hurled like stones, of losing her first wife to the AIDS crisis before there were even names for the grief. Brooke soaked it in. Her own past, a string of barista jobs, a mother who prayed away her confusion, a father who vanished when she was 12, feeling smaller, surmountable. "You're my miracle," Brooke told her one evening, tracing the wrinkles at Evelyn's eyes. "I was drowning, and you threw me a lifeline." Back in the city, the real world intruded like a bad hangover. Paparazzi swarmed the penthouse steps on their return, flashbulbs popping like gunfire. "Gold digger alert, waitress weds tech titan," screamed the headlines. Brooke's co-workers at the diner texted memes. Her sister called, voice cracking with worry. "She's using you, Brooke." "For what?" A nurse on speed dial. Evelyn shielded her, hiring a PR firm to spin it as love defies odds. But the whispers followed them to galas where socialites in ball gowns eyed Brooke like a stray cat. Evelyn's lawyer, a stern woman named Harlan, coincidentally Brooke's last name, drew up papers making Brooke sole heir. A gesture that thrilled and terrified her. "It's not about the money," Evelyn insisted over candlelit dinner at Le Bernardin. "It's about trust. Trust." The word echoed when Brooke, on day 6, wandered the penthouse alone while Evelyn napped. The place was a labyrinth of secrets. Warhol prints in the hall. A lock study off the library. Curiosity, that old devil, nudged her toward a side table in the guest room, where a brass key glinted half-hidden under a doily. It fit the study door with a soft click. Inside, dust motes danced in the slanted light, bookshelves groaning under leather-bound tomes. Brooke's fingers trailed Spine's Hemingway, Wolf, a dog-eared copy of The Price of Salt, until she spotted a lacquered box on the desk, engraved with initials EMH. Heart thudding. She lifted the lid. Letters spilled out, brittle as autumn leaves, tied with faded ribbon. The top one, dated 1972, was in Evelyn's looping script. "My dearest Margot, your touch is the only revolution I need. Forget the world. Let's burn it down together." Brooke's stomach twisted. Margot, the woman in the photo? She rifled deeper. Pulse racing. And there, postcards from Paris. Pressed flowers from Central Park. A marriage certificate yellowed with age. Evelyn and Margot, wed in secret during a time when such unions were felonies in half the states. But then, sharper, a police report. Crumpled and stained. Assault. Disappeared without trace. Suspect, Evelyn Voss. Brooke's breath caught. Disappeared? What the hell? She didn't hear the door creak until Evelyn was there. Face ashen. Cane forgotten in her grip. "Brooke," she whispered, voice fracturing like thin ice. "You weren't meant to see that." The air thickened, charged with the scent of old paper and betrayal. Brooke clutched the letter, her knuckles white. "Who was she? What did you do?" Evelyn sank into a wingback chair, the weight of 80 years folding her shoulders. "Sit. Love. It's a story that ends in blood." Brooke didn't sit. She couldn't. Her legs felt like the wobbly stools at the diner after a 12-hour shift. But fury rooted her to the spot, the letter crumpling in her fist. Evelyn's eyes, those piercing blues that had seduced her over coffee and confessions, now swam with a sorrow so deep it swallowed the room. Outside, the city hummed indifferent, taxis honking their symphony of chaos, while in this sanctum, time unraveled like a pulled thread. "Margot was my fire," Evelyn began, her voice steady but laced with gravel, the kind earned from too many unsmoked cigarettes in smoky jazz clubs. "We met in '68, at a protest in Washington Square." She was 22, all fury and curls, marching for women's lib with a sign that read "Smash the Patriarchy" in red paint. I was 33, already climbing the ladder at IBM, buttoned up in pearls and lies. She saw through me like glass. That night, in a basement bar reeking of stale beer and revolution, she kissed me under a poster of Angela Davis. It was electric, raw, unapologetic. We built a life in shadows, stolen weekends in the village, code words for our love when phones were tapped by feds hunting deviants. Brooke's throat tightened. She pictured them young, defiant, bodies pressed in cramped apartments while the world raged Stonewall outside. It mirrored her own hidden heartaches, the furtive glances at women's poetry readings in Ohio basements. So why the police report? Why disappeared? Evelyn's hand trembled as she reached for a crystal decanter on the side table, pouring scotch with the precision of a surgeon. Ambition. Mine. She took a swig, wincing as it burned down. By 72, I'd founded Voss Dynamics. Margot hated it, the late nights, the schmoozing with venture capitalists who leered at her like she was the deal's sweetener. She wanted me home, building something real, not algorithms for Wall Street wolves. We fought. Got the fights. She'd smash plates, call me a sellout. I'd accuse her of chaining me to a picket line while the world passed us by. One night, after a gala where I landed my first million, she packed a bag. "I'm leaving, Eve. For good this time. Find someone who'll love you without the cage," I begged. Pleaded. Then I snapped. The words hung. A guillotine blade. Brooke's mind reeled, flashing to her own rages, the plate she'd hurled at her ex in a Cleveland motel, the way love could curdle into venom. Snapped how? Evelyn's gaze drifted to the window, where rain blurred the spires of the cathedral across the street. I grabbed her wrist. Too hard. She twisted free, stumbled into the hall table, hit her head on the marble edge. Blood everywhere, like spilled wine. She was out cold. I panicked. Called no one. Loaded her into the car. Drove to my family's cabin upstate. Thought I'd nurse her, make her see reason. But when she woke, she didn't remember me. Not at first. Concussion, the docs later said. Retrograde amnesia. She looked at me like I was a stranger, a rich bitch who'd kidnapped her. Brooke sank to the rug then, the plush fibers mocking her with their softness. Evelyn continued, voice dropping to a hush, as if the walls had ears. For weeks, I lied. Told her we were lovers on vacation, that she'd fallen skiing. She bought it, or pretended to. We made love again. Tentative. Like rediscovering a language. But pieces came back, flashes of arguments. My coldness. She confronted me one dawn. Eyes wild, you did this. You hurt me to keep me. I denied it. But she saw the truth in my face. That night, she ran. Left a note. I can't trust the woman I love. Goodbye, Eve. I searched hired PIs, combed shelters from here to Boston. Then, 3 months later, the call, body pulled from the East River. Overdose. Pills and gin. The cops ruled it suicide. But the report. They suspected me. Assault leading to flight. Flight leading to despair. No charges, my lawyers buried it, but Margot's blood? It's on my hands. Silence crashed in. Heavier than the thunder outside. Brooke's chest heaved. Tears carving hot paths down her cheeks. Betrayal wasn't just the secret, it was the mirror Evelyn held up, reflecting Brooke's own fractures. Hadn't she married too fast? Chasing security over soul-searching? Why tell me now? After everything. Evelyn leaned forward, her arthritic knees protesting with a creak. Because you're not Margot. You're light where she was storm. But the past festers. Brooke. My doctor's given me 6 months pancreatic. Stage 4. No miracles this time. I married you to leave something good behind. Not shadows. But if you walk, I get it. You've got a life ahead, paintings to sell. Lovers to cherish without ghosts. Brooke's mind spun. A carousel of what ifs. Walk, and go back to the diner. To lonely nights scrolling Grindr for women who ghosted by morning? Or stay? And love a woman whose heart was a haunted house? She crawled to Evelyn, pressing her forehead to the older woman's knee. I don't know how to forgive this. But I know I love you. That's my hook. Isn't it? The one you threw me. They held each other as the storm broke, rain easing to a patter. Evelyn stroked Brooke's hair, humming that old Broadway tune. But the melody cracked midway. There's more, she admitted softly. A daughter. Margot's. From before we met, a one-night slip with an activist buddy during a rough patch. I never told her, raised the girl Lila, as my own after Margot vanished. She's 30 now. A lawyer in D.C. Hates me for abandoning her mother. If she finds out about us. About the cancer. It'll destroy her. Brooke pulled back, eyes widening. A daughter? The plot thickened like bad coffee, stirring up fresh conflict. Does she know about us? About what you did? Evelyn shook her head. She thinks Margot left because I was too ambitious. Too cold. Visits once a year. All stiff hugs and veiled accusations. But she's got Margot's fire, those dark eyes that see too much. As if summoned by the devil's own timing. The penthouse intercom buzzed. Mrs. Voss? Your daughter. Lila Harlan. Is here. Unannounced. Brooke froze. Harlan. Her last name. Coincidence? Or fate's cruel joke? Evelyn's face drained of color. Send her up, she rasped. Then to Brooke. Hide the box. Please. But Lila burst in like a gale tall, with raven hair and a severe bob. Sharp features echoing Margot's photo. Clad in a power suit that screamed federal prosecutor. 35. Not 30. Brooke noted. But time bent under stress. Mother, Lila snapped. Air kissing Evelyn's cheek before spotting Brooke. Her gaze raked over the ring. The disheveled hair. And you must be the wife. Charming. Tabloids don't do justice to the midlife Late life crisis vibe. Evelyn stiffened. Lila. Darling. What brings you up from DC? Lila dropped a leather briefcase on the desk, flipping it open to reveal folders stamped confidential. This. Your spontaneous marriage? It's got my colleagues buzzing. And then I dug old files. Sealed records. Margot's case reopened? Mom? What the fuck? The room ignited. Brooke shrank back. But Lila whirled on her. You. What's your angle? Nurse? Trophy? Or just the flavor of the month to spite her past? Enough, Evelyn thundered, cane slamming the floor. But Lila advanced, eyes blazing. No. Mother. I'm done with your secrets. I know about the assault. The cover-up. And now this marrying some kid half my age? It's grotesque. Pathetic. Brooke's temper flared. Ohio steel rising. Grotesque? Love is in a ledger. Lady. Your mom's given me more in a month than you've got in your cold little heart. Lila laughed. Bitter as bile. Love? Try manipulation. She did it to Mom, charmed her. Broke her. Now you? Wake up. Sweetheart. She's poison. The words landed like punches, dredging Brooke's doubts. As Lila stormed out, vowing lawsuits and disinheritance, Evelyn collapsed into sobs, the first Brooke had seen. Raw and wrenching. Brooke held her, but the seed of betrayal sprouted thorns. Was Lila right? Had Evelyn's love always come laced with control? That night, sleep evaded them. Brooke lay awake, staring at the ceiling's ornate molding. Evelyn's snores ragged beside her. By morning, resolve hardened. We face this, Brooke said over breakfast, pushing away untouched eggs Benedict. Together. Call Lila back. Tell her everything, the cancer. The truth about Margot. No more hiding. Evelyn's eyes glistened. And if she takes it all? The company. The legacy. Then we build a new one, Brooke replied, squeezing her hand. On honesty this time. But as they dialed, Brooke's phone lit up. An anonymous text. Ask your wife about the river. She didn't just let Margot go. Attached. A grainy photo, Evelyn. Young. By the water's edge. Something heavy in her arms. The deadly secret deepened. A chasm opening beneath their fragile bridge. The photo burned in Brooke's palm like a brand. The anonymous sender's words a venomous whisper slithering through her veins. Evelyn, frozen mid-dial, caught the shift in Brooke's posture, the way her shoulders hunched. Green eyes clouding like the Hudson at fog's edge. What is it? She asked. Voice a fragile thread. Brooke slid the phone across the granite island, the image glaring up like an accusation from the grave. Evelyn's face crumpled. Not in denial, but defeat. She sank onto a bar stool, the cane clattering to the floor, her pearls clicking softly against the counter. It's worse than I told you, she confessed, the words tumbling out like confessions in a dimly lit AA meeting. I didn't just let her run. I pushed her toward the end. Brooke's world tilted. The penthouse's opulence mocking her, the sub-zero fridge humming indifferently. The view of Central Park a postcard lie. Pushed how? Evelyn. Talk to me. No more half-truths. Evelyn's hands, those elegant instruments that had built empires and cradled lovers, now twisted the hem of her robe. After she left the cabin, I tracked her to a flophouse in the Bowery. Found her half-wasted, surrounded by radicals plotting God knows what bombings for the cause. She was spiraling booze. Till men she picked up to spite me. I confronted her in an alley off Houston. Rain slicking the bricks. Her mascara running like black rivers. Come home, I begged. We can fix this. But she laughed cruel. Broken. Home? You made me a prisoner. Eve. I'd rather drown. Those words. They ignited something feral. I grabbed her collar. Shook her. Then go on. Drown. I shoved her back hard against a dumpster. She slipped. Hit her head again. Worse this time. Blood pooled. Dark as oil. I thought she was gone right there. But she stirred. Spat in my face. I hate you. Then she fled. Staggering into the night. Brooke pressed a hand to her mouth. Bileri sink. The alley materialized in her mind's eye. Neon flickering from a pawn shop. The distant wail of sirens. Two women locked in a dance of love and loathing. And the river? I followed her the next night, Evelyn whispered. Tears carving furrows in her powder. Tracked her to a pier under the Williamsburg Bridge. She was there. Bottle in hand. Staring at the black water like it was an old friend. I called her name. But she turned wild-eyed. Accusing. You did this to me. You broke what's left. We argued. Voices echoing off the warehouses. She lunged at me. Fists flying. Grief turned to rage. I blocked her. Pushed back not to hurt, but to stop. She teetered on the edge. The current churning below like a beast's maw. Jump if you hate me so much, I screamed. The words a mirror of hers from the alley. She did. Not a leap, but a slip, her heel caught on a loose plank. I reached, but too late. She hit the water. Vanished under the foam. I dove in after. Lungs burning. But the tide claimed her. Dragged her miles downriver before spitting her out days later. The confession hung. A noose tightening around Brooke's heart. Suicide. Accident. Murder by proxy. The lines blurred in the gray dawn light filtering through the blinds. Brooke slid to the floor. Knees to chest. Rocking like a child in a storm. You let the world think she overdosed. Covered it up. For what? Pride. The empire. Evelyn knelt beside her. Wincing at the effort. Her knee popping like gunfire in the quiet. Shame. And love? Twisted as it was. I couldn't bear the headlines. Tech mogul kills lover in domestic brawl. It would have ended me. Yet. But more, it would have erased her. Turned our story into scandal. Not the revolution we dreamed. So I paid off the coroner. Spun the narrative. Suicide fit the era's script for troubled women like us. But every night since, I've drowned with her. That's why I built walls, marriages to men for cover. Lila raised in boarding schools to shield her from the stain. And you? Brooke. My redemption. Or so I hoped. Redemption. The word tasted like ash. Brooke thought of her own sins, the lies to her mother about roommates in college, the way she ghosted lovers when vulnerability loomed. Was she any better? Or just younger? With fewer bodies in her wake? Lila knows. That text, it's her. Isn't it? She's been digging. Piecing it together. Evelyn nodded. Weary as Atlas. She's always suspected. Margot's suicide note? Forged by me. But Lila kept the original scraps. Mentions the river. My name scrawled in blood-flecked ink. She's coming for justice. Disownment. Maybe criminal charges if she can exhume the body. The buzzer screamed again, insistent as a heartbeat. Lila this time. No preamble. Shoving past the doorman with a keycard she duplicated years ago. She stormed the kitchen, folder in hand, face a mask of righteous fury. I have it all, Mother. The pier's security footage, grainy, but clear enough. You at the edge. Her splashing. And witnesses. A homeless vet who saw the shove. It's manslaughter. Minimum. You'll rot in some white-collar prison. Or worse, lose everything. Evelyn rose. Regal even in ruin. Her chin lifting like a queen facing the scaffold. Then do it. Lila. Expose me. But know this, I loved your mother. Flawed. Ferociously. She was my dawn. And I her eclipse. The shove? It was the end of us. But not the measure of us. Lila's resolve cracked. Tears spilling as she clutched the folder like a shield. You stole her from me. I was 5 when she left. Grew up hating you for it. Piecing together whispers from aunts who pitied me. And now this farce. She jabbed a finger at Brooke. Marrying her? It's insult on injury. Using youth to rewrite your sins. Brooke stepped forward. Voice steady despite the quake in her chest. It's not rewriting. It's reckoning. Evelyn told me everything, the alley, the pier, the lies. And yet, it's ugly. Deadly. Even. But love isn't clean. It's this. She gestured to the 3 of them. A fractured trinity in a kitchen of excess. Margot's ghost isn't yours alone. Lila. She's in you, those eyes. That fire. And in Evelyn's regret. Let me in. Too. I'm not the villain here. I'm the fool who fell for a woman brave enough to build from ashes. Lila recoiled. But her gaze softened. Flicking between them, the platinum rings glinting like defiant stars. You're insane. Both of you. But she didn't leave. Instead, she sank into a chair. The fight leaching out like air from a punctured tire. They talked then. For hours. The rain returning in sheets that blurred the world beyond. Evelyn recounted the love letters. The shared dreams of a world where women like them could wed in daylight. Lila shared fragments, Margot's lullabies. The way she'd braid Lila's hair with stories of Aunt Eve's adventures. Brooke listened. Bridging the gap with her own tales. Diner heartbreaks. The terror of coming out over Thanksgiving turkey. The quiet joy of Evelyn's first "I love you," whispered in a Hamptons gale. By afternoon, the folder lay open. Not as weapon, but witness. Lila wept for the mother she'd mythologized. Evelyn for the years stolen by silence. Brooke held them both. Her arms a tentative scaffold. No charges, Lila murmured finally. Voice raw. But truth. Public. A foundation in Margot's name, for queer survivors of domestic shadows. And you, she-eyed Brooke. Stick around. Someone's gotta keep her honest. The climax crested not in screams, but surrender. A family forged in the forge of confession. Evelyn's cancer loomed. A shadow no money could banish. But in the weeks that followed, they faced it with a ferocity born of blood ties and chosen vows. Brooke quit the diner. Enrolling in night classes at Parsons. Her sketches now of women unbound. Evelyn's profile etched in charcoal. Lila's silhouette against the Capitol dome. Galas turned to fundraisers. Headlines from scandal to Voss legacy. Love after loss. Evelyn passed in the spring. Under cherry blossoms dusting the penthouse balcony. Brooke and Lila at her side. My girls, she breathed. Hands entwined in theirs, one young and freckled. One lined with battles won. No more secrets. Her eyes fluttered shut. A smile lingering like afterglow. Grief came tidal. But so did grace. Brooke and Lila, unlikely sisters now, scattered her ashes in the East River, not as curse, but consecration. To Margot, Brooke toasted, boat rocking gently. And the women who loved fierce. Months later, Brooke stood in the study, box open on the desk. She added her own letter. We carried your story forward. No more drowning. The city sprawled below, alive with possibility, love not as cage, but key. In the diner days, she dreamed of escape. Now she knew home was the heart's stubborn return, flawed and full.